Hello everybody and welcome to part 6 of my video sailing course. In this video I explain the point of sail downwind to you. Everything I show in this video you also find in my book Learn to Sail with Captain Sailnator. There I describe everything very comprehensively step by step and explain a few more tips and tricks that I could unfortunately not show in this video. You find a link to the book in the video description. Disclaimer: this video is not meant as a solo teaching aid. It is intended as a supplement to a sailing course. Never go on board a sailboat without an experienced sailor, or rather only under the supervision of a licensed sailing instructor. Thank you very much. In the previous videos we talked about the first 4 points of sail, and we have learned that we cannot sail when the boat is facing the wind, so when the bow is pointing directly into the wind. This way the sails cannot fill up with wind. We have also learned that the first course we can sail when we bear away about 45 degrees from the wind is called close hauled. If we continue to bear away from the wind, we go through close reach and then arrive at beam reach, and if we bear away further, we reach the point of sail broad reach. If we bear away from broad reach, at some point the jib gets into the slipstream of the mainsail and the jib collapses. Then we head up again a little bit till the jib fills with wind again, and then we put the tiller back to the middle, and now we have found broad reach. That is what we have learned so far. The next point of sail that follows broad reach is downwind, also called running. We bear away even further, the stern turns into the wind, which blows now exactly from behind into the sails. So how do we get from broad reach to downwind? The helmsman gives the command ease sheets to downwind and pulls the tiller towards him. But you really should not steer too fast to bear away from broad reach. You have to be careful that the stern does not already go through the wind. The stern is already turning in that direction, and if you steer too far, to the other side of the wind, already on the opposite broad reach, it may be that the boom beats uncontrolled from one side to the other. But I will talk about that in detail in a few minutes. The helmsman now bears away carefully. By doing so he eases the main sheet as far as possible, but you have to be careful that the shroud does not push too much into the sail, so you have to stop the boom just before it hits the shroud. The jib already collapsed at the transition from broad reach to downwind and now flutters behind the mainsail. This tells us that we will achieve downwind soon and that we have to be very careful from now on. The stern slowly turns into the wind, and when the wind vane is exactly pointing to the middle of the bow, we have reached downwind. Because the jib collapsed behind the mainsail, we do not take advantage of the optimal sail area, and that's why the helmsman now gives a command like trim sails. The crew then pulls the jib on the appropriate sheet to the other side and then eases the jib until it flutters, and then he hauls the sheet again until the jib is calm again. Now we use the maximum sail area possible. The wind now blows directly from behind into the mainsail as well as into the jib. So we are now sailing downwind, and the interesting thing is that the apparent wind and the true wind come from the same direction by doing so. We are now using the maximum sail area and sail with thrust by resistance. Is this now the fastest course we can sail? No, it is not. But why? Because we still sail against the headwind. It pushes from the front against the wide open sails. And that is not very aerodynamic. The fastest course is somewhere between broad reach and beam reach. That depends on how the boat is constructed, but also on the headwind and how fast we sail. So the fastest course is somewhere between beam and broad reach, because at this point the headwind can get past the sails better. So what is the danger by sailing downwind? When the wind comes from behind, the waves also get right on the stern. The boat then starts to swing from left to right and backwards. It rolls and it gets difficult to keep course. And if the stern already gets on the other side of the wind, it may be that the mainsail already gets the wind from the other side. And then it turns from far outside from one side to the far outside of the other side. The boom might hit the head of the helmsman, or the boat might even capsize. Going through the wind with the stern is called jibe, and an unwanted and uncontrolled jibe is called accidental jibe. And we definitely have to try to avoid that. Because they fear the accidental jibe, some sailors try to avoid to sail downwind. But there is a little trick to decrease the risk. We head up from downwind a little bit until the jib tends to collapse again. Then we bear away again until we reach the border between the jib collapses and gets up again. So that the jib always moves a bit with the swell. and then we keep that course. So we are not sailing the exact downwind course, but almost on the border of it, and that helps us to avoid the accidental jibe. The commands to bear away to downwind can be ease sheets to downwind, trim sails when the jib has to be pulled to the other side, and sailing downwind when the downwind is reached. And if we want to head up again, then we can say sheet into broad reach and sailing broad reach. That was the point of sail downwind, also called running. In the next video I'll explain tacking. There we turn the bow through the wind from close haul to close hauled on the opposite side of the wind. Everything I show in this video you also find in my book, Learn to Sail with Captain Sailnator. There I describe everything very comprehensively step by step and explain a few more tips and tricks that I could unfortunately not show in this video. In the next video I will explain tacking. You can find a link to the video in the video description. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to the channel so you will not miss the next video. You also find a link to my book in the video description below. It is written in a way that you can prepare yourself for your next sailing lesson with the respective chapter and then repeat everything you learned afterwards. The book is also available in a colored version and as ebook, and book and ebook are great to prepare yourself for a sailing course and also to read during the course about what you are just doing. It is written in a practical way and I think your sailing instructor will explain everything in a very similar way, and after reading the book you will understand him better and faster, and then you will even learn to sail faster. A link to the book can be found in the video description. I self-published the book and I would be glad if you buy it and support me as an independent author. Thank you very much.